Hello, I'm Chris Fenton. I'm a realtor on Vancouver Island with the Fenton team, and our team services large parts of Vancouver Island. Specifically, we have brokerage offices in the Alberta Valley and Ucluelet, which services Tofino. But we also do business in other parts of Vancouver Island. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to share with you what I do for business planning. Today is Boxing Day, and I'm basically going to lock myself in the lab from today until New Year's, going through a detailed business plan. And that business plan is going to basically set the course for the next year, and I think is probably the most important thing I do in a year in terms of our success for next year. I decided to shoot this video. The idea came up because I wanted to share with our brokerage, our local brokerage, some business planning tips and some tools that I can share with them. And then I thought, well, why not share this with everybody at LePage, anyone that's interested. Hopefully this will help some people. If you don't know who we are, I've been a realtor since 2003. I have a degree in business, so I approach real estate from a different perspective than many agents. And our team has been part of the LePage National Chairman's Club for the last 4 years. And I think I get a lot of questions about what we do, and that's sort of natural. And people often talk to me about our marketing and say, oh, you guys have such amazing marketing. I think the business planning is way more important than the marketing. And so I really want to share this with people, and hopefully this can help change some of your businesses. So what I'm going to do is I have a template. It's an Excel spreadsheet, and I'm going to share my screen and go through it step by step. Before I do that, I want to say this spreadsheet, I pieced it together over the years from bits and parts from different people. And I want to specifically thank Dana Richard from Rich Robbins International, who was the first person that introduced me to this type of business planning for real estate. And then also Bill Renaud from Bill Renaud Coaching, who helped us take it to another level as well. So I'm going to share my screen, and what I want to say to everybody is, if you don't do business planning or you have a very small business plan, you do not need to do everything that I do. This is very detailed. Take the parts. I would just encourage you to get started. Take the parts, keep it simple in the beginning. This has grown on me year after year. I've added to it. So it's not something that I would have started out at the beginning. It would be completely overwhelming. But with that said, I want to share this with you. So here we go. And the link to the spreadsheet, I'm going to leave the link to the spreadsheet so you can download the spreadsheet and use it, customize it, change it, make it yours if you'd like. But it just makes life 10 times easier for you. All right, so here we go. And of course, if you have any questions, shoot me a comment, shoot me an email, give me a call. Okay, so what you're seeing is the first page. So this is an Excel spreadsheet, and at the bottom you can see all the tabs. We have vision and value, business source tracking, goal setting simplified, financial statement, financial analysis, marketing calendar, and daily, weekly activities. So the first part is vision and value. And this is where we put our mission statement. And I took our mission statement out because I took most of our stuff out just because I want this to be as useful for you as possible. You can just Google mission statements and come up with a way of doing a mission statement. I think mission statements are an incredibly important tool for business planning and should be the first step. You really want to get clear on who you are, what you are, why you are, and all of those things, and then write it in as concise a language as possible, and then refer to it from time to time. The business concept section here is something I picked up. They call it a hedgehog strategy, I think, in a great book, business book called Good to Great by a gentleman named Collins. Incredible study of successful companies, I think Fortune 500 companies, if memory serves me. And what this is you want to come up with a very concise business concept that includes a key performance indicator, includes sort of a mathematical formula that you can track. Ours says the Fenton Group will strive to be the best on Vancouver Island at maximizing profit per lead by providing extraordinary service in key areas of marketing, internet lead generation, and follow-up and client pre- and post-transaction relationship. You're going to change this for you. We're an internet lead generation company. So it's a big part of what we do. The part that I want to bring to your attention, and I hope that you can see this well enough, is that the key part of that sentence is maximizing profit per lead. And I want to talk about that because it's important that in business, if you want to approach real estate as a business, to always be tracking your key performance indicators, simple formulas that tell you if your business is changing. We track these quarterly. That's what we do in order to watch. And if the outcome changes, we know something has changed. The beautiful thing is I think profit per lead is probably the key performance indicator for most real estate sales businesses. It's a very broad equation if you think about it. Profit, what goes into profit? Well, profit is your income minus your expenses is your profit. So everything falls under that. all of your income, all of your sales, how many sales, what type of, high-end, low-end properties, whatever it is, affects income. Expenses is everything, right? It's your cost of sales, it's all the things that you spend to generate that profit. And then leads is the number of people that we talk to, or we have an opportunity to talk to within a year. So when everything in our business is wrapped up into that small sentence, because when something changes on that equation, I know I need to dig deeper. I need to look at the income side, the expense side, and the number of leads, and figure out which one has changed most drastically, which one's caused the overall equation to change. And then I can drill down into, say, expenses, and I can start looking at doing an analysis of my expenses and seeing why it's gone up, why my income's gone down, whatever it is. But I think it's really, really, really important to get focused on that and clear on what it is you're trying to achieve. This is business source tracking, and I think this is the most important thing that we do in a year. Business source tracking on tab 2 is basically where our business comes from. And so I've left these in. You can change these. They obviously don't apply to everybody. They're very specific to us. But we've gone out and we've categorized into groups where our business comes from. And then we track on every sales file, where did that source of that business come from? Is it a referral from is it a past client buying or selling again? Is it a client referral where they referred a friend or family member? Did it come through a print campaign as our direct mail? These are our websites. Where did they come from in the previous year? And of course, we change the numbers of the year every year. And then we get to a total. So that's our sales. The next thing I want to do is, what do I want to accomplish? What is our group? If I'm an individual agent, what do I want to accomplish next year? And where would I like to improve? When I put these numbers in here, I can often see some holes. There's just not enough coming from this source. There's not enough coming from that source. And then I can basically come up with the numbers that I'd like to achieve next year. And this is really cool because we've been doing this for a decade. And so, for example, say we had, 20 from a website, and next year we wanted to do 30. The interesting thing is then when I do my budget for the year, I obviously have to spend some more money or figure out a way to get more out of that website. And so it directs where we're going to spend money, where we're going to spend our time and our focus. And the weirdest thing is when at the end of the year, when we come back and track our goal for 2020, in this case, to our what we actually did, it's remarkable how when we decide to change something by 20% more, we almost nail it every year. And it's really strange because we set this out once a year. We set the budget and then we execute the plan. We don't really come back and think about it till next year. And it's almost always like within 1 or 2 sales of what we want. So it tells you how very, very powerful it is. And it's not really strange. It's putting your focus, what gets measured gets accomplished. It's very true. So I would recommend, if you don't know where your 2019 or whatever year you're watching this video, your present year came in, I would encourage you to go back, print out a list of your sales, spend the hours, whatever it takes to come up with that idea. And then next year on your sales files, have a little spot where you jot that down throughout the year and then tabulate it easily at the end of the year. Spreadsheet, whatever you want to do. So that's what this page does. Then what we do in this section is we basically take this sale and we figure out the average commission in our marketplace. We don't worry, or our average commission. You don't have to get exact with this. If you know the average sale price is $400,000, you can figure out what your average end commission would be, and you just take this number, multiply it by that average commission, and you'll get basically the same thing in revenue. And you'll know what you made this year in income, and you'll know what your goal is for next year by doing the same thing, by multiplying the number that goes in here. So if you had a 5 here, and it's already put in here. So our average commission when we set this up was $7,700. So if we did 5 sales, it's $35,000 in income. So the spreadsheet, hopefully I tinker with this through the year so these can break, but hopefully this will be set up for you. And once you throw these numbers in, it comes in here. This will then calculate whether you're planning to increase or decrease from the previous year, and same on this one. And those they are set up to work automatically. Down here, we have team size. So this might not apply to you if you're an individual agent, but we write down, this year we had 6 people on the team. Well, this is actually quite old, but at one point we had 6 people on the team, and then we wanted to go to 9 or whatever it might be. But it helps you understand, because maybe you're not just putting money into this, maybe you're getting more human resources into it. Goal setting simplified is probably the next thing. I put a bunch of fake numbers in this because I just thought it was a violation of all of our agents' privacy if I shared exact numbers, but these are basically our numbers. So let me explain how this works. you want to set out, well, what we do, if you're an individual agent, you're just doing this on your own. If you're with a team, you're going to have each individual agent. You're going to sit down with them, look at what, either way, you're going to sit down, look at what you did last year, what you want to do next year. Do you want it to be the same? Do you want to grow? And you're going to come up with, what else do I want to accomplish? Or even how much money do I want to make? And then divide the amount of money you want to make by the average commission, and you'll get the average amount of sales you need to do. Now that's great. You know you want to do 20 sales next year, say. Well, that's fantastic. But how does that help us by setting that? Well, it helps us because we're going to take that goal of 20 sales or 30 sales or whatever it is, and we're going to break it down into a weekly goal that we can control. And the thing that we can control as real estate agents is the amount of appointments we go on. Whether we're listing agents or buyer's agents, we can work towards getting more appointments, more opportunities to meet with people and talk to them about our service and potentially help them. So that's exactly what happens here. I'm going to do the buyer's side. Here's a buyer's one. So the buyer's agent wanted to do 40 sales in this hypothetical. And we know how many contracts have to be written in order to do that because we've calculated a collapse rate. I wish I could tell you what that is. But these numbers are based fairly on our reality, but you might want to figure out or estimate how many deals you write that don't go through. And if you can go back and look at last year's, that's going to make it much easier. But basically, you take 40, in this case, 40 sales, and based on collapse rates, they know they need to write 56 offers because obviously not every offer or every accepted offer completes because of building inspections and financing and all of that. So that gives us how many contracts need to be written. Then we figure out how many weeks you want to take off from the year, and we write down whatever amount of weeks you're going to work in the year. So you know how many contracts you need to write and how many weeks you're going to work. So now we've got more information to get to this section. So I'm going to take buyer's agent 1, and I'm going to go down here to buyer's agent 1. So how it worked out, and this is all set up, you just fill in these numbers and this will punch out. How it works is they need to do 1.3 contracts a week. That's the math, right? You take the number of contracts you need to write and number of weeks you want to work, and it's going to come out to 1.3. And then you want to figure out how many appointments you go on in order to achieve the average sale. Now, we calculate this for each individual agent because it gives us a very good opportunity to see which agents are having a harder time converting than others, and then we can focus on those things. But if you're a new agent, the average seems to tend to be around 8 appointments per sale. Now, what's an appointment? An appointment is every time you go out and show a property to a client. So if you work with the same client for 6 months and you show them 30 different times, that's 30 different appointments. If you work with a client and show them 1 set of homes and they buy a house that day, that's 1 appointment. Every time you get out and show a new client, houses in a given week. And this is what we're trying to track. This is what we do every week. We're looking at how many appointments did we go on this week. If that number dips below our goal, then we know we need to figure out how to adjust that, how to fix that problem, but it brings our attention to it. And again, what gets measured gets accomplished. So if you have those appointments, goals, it's amazing how often you're going to nail those goals or exceed those goals. Same thing on the listing side. Listing side's a little more complicated, only in the sense that you have a goal for how many sales you want to go on. You then know how many listings you need to take, but you also need to know how many listing appointments to go on. Sorry, the extra step is you get a listing contract, but then you have to get a sale, but there's a collapse rate on that sale. Not all listings are going to sell. Some of them might not sell for various reasons. And then some of those sales will collapse. So there's just another layer in there. I hope that makes some sense, but it should all be clear here. Listing agent sales goal, listings taken, listing appointment goal, weeks worked. So go through this. You can delete parts if you're a single agent. You don't need all of this, but it's going to give you a really good idea. And then find a way to hold yourself accountable. If you're a single agent, I highly recommend hiring a coach. Coaches hold us accountable. Hugely powerful. If you're with a group, a partner, a team, then you can use them to go over this weekly. The next part is the financial statement. Now, this financial statement is very, very, very detailed, and yours doesn't need to be this detailed unless your business is larger and you have a lot of moving parts. Basically, what you have is you have your income right here, your cost of sales. Now, cost of sales, if you're an individual agent, this might not apply to you, but cost of sales in a team setting is if you hire, it's about leverage. If you you've worked as a single agent and you've gotten to the point where you just can't work any harder. So you hire someone to come on and work with you. Well, you're going to pay them some sort of split, some sort of commission, some sort of salary, whatever it is. That's the cost of sale. In order to accomplish the amount of sales that agent did, their portion of it is the cost of sale. So this is total income here in a group setting for everybody minus cost of sales. If you're an individual agent, you can get rid of this cost of sales. It's not necessarily relevant to you. And then you come up with and this is going to calculate it automatically. You're going to come up with gross profit. Then you just go through your regular expenses and you can change this. This is an example. I've edited it a bit, but this is an example of our expenses. Yours may or may not be this detailed or this extensive. And you can just leave them and put zeros. You can change them, delete them, whatever you'd like. And you're going to come up with total expenses, which then now we have gross income on this gray line here. Sorry, gross profit rather, minus expenses, which is going to give us net income, which is really what we're most interested in. And then this will calculate your profit margin, what percentage of your total income ends up in your pocket at the end of the day. I wanted to, just for anybody that's a team leader that may be watching this, if there's anyone watching this, what we do is I put my gross income in here, and then I treat myself like everybody else, and I put my cost of sales in here. And that way it gives me an understanding that if I were to step out of the business, I would need somebody else to do this production. But it allows me to look at it from a business. But the point of all of this is have some sort of financial statement. You want to know your income, your expenses. You know, over the first 5 years I was in real estate, I took all my expense receipts and I stuffed them in an envelope. And at the end of the year, I just went crazy trying to figure them out and calculated them all. They're not doing me much good in that envelope, right? I need to look at them, analyze them, figure them out. Again, if you're just starting out and this is your first year, you might not want to do this. This might be getting a little bit complicated. I would definitely focus on those two tabs if I was starting out in the first year. The next thing is once I have the financial statement, and again, I want to point out this is a budget, right? This is where I'm going to set the budget. In this case, for next year, which is 2021, I'm going to put in 2020 actual here. I'm going to figure out what we want to increase on based on this page. You know, which areas do we want to increase on? How can we do that in a financial sense from putting more resources into our goals? This next tab is financial analysis. So financial analysis is something we just started doing recently. Again, like I said, we add to this every year and we get better. This is awesome. This page, if you can get to the point where you know this stuff, this is incredible. Key performance indicators. Key performance indicators are simple formulas that you can track fairly simply throughout the year that will tell you if things are changing. If my profit per lead was the one I talked about in the opening here, if that's changed, I know I need to dig into that. If quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, if I see a big change somewhere, I'm going to want to look into that. And if you're starting out and you don't want to get too involved, just do it annually. You don't need to necessarily do it quarterly. But we have figured out what we think are key performance indicators for us: profit per lead, cost of customer acquisition, our appointment rate, our conversion rate, which is the rate at which an appointment will turn into a sale, our administrative cost per sale, and our charitable donations per sale, which really isn't a business thing. That's more of a social thing for us. It's important to us. But you know, when these numbers change, this covers basically my administrative expenses. If this gets crazy, I know we're getting out of control with the administrative expenses. If conversion rates go bad, I know that's probably a training issue. We need to address that. If the appointment rate is down, that could be a training issue. That could be an expense issue. But it gives me an idea instantly by looking at a very simple number that I need to look into this further. These are return on investment calculations. So what they will tell me is, these are my websites. I can tell, because my tracking is so detailed, I can now look and see which areas we're trying to generate business from are returning the best investment. And the second we did this the first time, we figured out what we needed to cut. There was a bunch of things we were doing where the return on investment was okay, but it wasn't nearly as good as other areas. So why wouldn't we divert resources from those lower producing areas to higher producing areas? And game changer. Let me just say game changer. Okay. Marketing calendar is the next tab. This is where I write down everything we want to do that year, everything we want to accomplish in the year in terms of marketing. So we have client marketing, marketing to our past clients. This is online lead generation, business implementation, things we want to do to grow our business, working on the business, not in the business, planning and accounting, recruiting and hiring, This has to, I also own a brokerage, so this just has to do with the brokerage. And I just color coded them so I can keep them separate. So how it works is I want to send a Christmas gift. Well, I'm going to get that started in November. So I just put an X there. And I go through this and I add everything I want to do, and I have the X's. Now every month as I'm sitting down, because if you want to grow a real estate business, you need to not just go out on appointments. You also need to dedicate time every week, at least every week, to working on your business. So I can open this up and I can, if I'm in January, I know what I'm working on. I don't need to go back and think about it again. It's all been set out for me. Okay, there's a bunch of X's in the January column. Better get started on some of those. And then finally, we have this. This is really personal for me. I added this in for myself. I'm a big believer in structuring your life so that you can achieve your goals. And I basically write down, my office meetings, my coaching meetings, whatever I'm doing repeatedly within the week, lead generation, calling past clients, whatever it might be. And then I'm going to write in like 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And of course, that goes into my Google Calendar and my phone and everything. So I don't usually use it here. This is just where I set it out for the year. And that's it. That is the whole thing. So I hope that was helpful. It's fairly detailed. I don't want to overwhelm people. Definitely, like I said, focus on those first 3 tabs, and just work with it. And things will evolve over time if you put the effort into them, you dedicate the time to them. But it's incredible how when you plan something, how the result so closely matches the plan. So I hope that helps. You don't need to spend a week like me. I'm just a little bit odd that way. A day at this would be plenty for most people. But I really, really recommend that you start thinking about doing this if you're not already. If you have any ideas that you do that I don't, I'd love to hear them, because I'm always looking for ways to improve things. I think that's it. If you have any questions, you can always drop a comment, shoot me an email. Always happy to help people, and take care. Hope you crush it next year. Bye for now.